Imagine a child's summer full of laughter and exploration. Now, imagine that innocence abruptly snatched away, replaced by a nightmare of isolation, fear, and a struggle for survival against an unimaginable threat. Today, Dark Truth Files brings you the chilling true story of Ethan Miller, a 13-year-old boy from rural Oregon who vanished during a family camping trip. He didn't just get lost. He was ensnared in a horrifying ordeal, a real-life nightmare where this 13-year-old survived unthinkable torture. This isn't just a tale of disappearance. It's a harrowing tutorial on the breaking point of a child's spirit and the unbelievable resilience required to endure total abandonment and reclaim your life. Introduction: The Missing Child. A family's worst fear, our story unfolds in the vast, unforgiving wilderness of the Oregon Cascade Mountains in the summer of 2018. Ethan Miller, a bright, adventurous 13-year-old, was on a camping trip with his family. What began as a joyous escape into nature quickly turned into a terrifying mystery. The unfolding nightmare. A moment's distraction. Ethan, curious and drawn to the dense forest, wandered slightly ahead of his parents on a hiking trail, chasing after a rare butterfly. A minute, maybe two, was all it took. When his parents called his name, there was no reply. The frantic search. Within hours, a massive search operation was launched. Local police, park rangers, and hundreds of volunteers scoured the rugged terrain. Days turned into weeks, but there was no trace of Ethan. The search eventually scaled down, leaving his family devastated and the community gripped by a chilling mystery. The unthinkable conclusion. The prevailing theory was a tragic accident, a fall, a wild animal, or simply succumbing to the elements. No one suspected a darker truth. No one imagined the torture he was about to face. Ethan wasn't lost in the traditional sense. He was found and then held. Not by a kidnapper for ransom, but by someone far more insidious, who believed they were doing what was best for him in a remote, hidden cabin deep within the vast national forest. Lesson 1. The abduction, from wilderness to personal prison. Ethan's torture began not with physical pain, but with the systematic removal of his freedom, his identity, and his connection to the outside world. This was the initial tutorial in disorientation and silent subjugation. Step 1. The seemingly innocent encounter, the helper. As Ethan ventured deeper, he heard a rustling. Not an animal, but an elderly man, weathered and seemingly benevolent, tending to a small, hidden trap line. The man, Elias, the hermit thorn, claimed he was a lone trapper, lost himself. He offered Ethan water and help finding his way back to the campsite, the isolated cabin, instead of leading him back. Elias led Ethan on a winding path deeper into the woods to a camouflaged, well-hidden cabin. Elias claimed a storm was coming and they should wait it out there. The cabin was basic, without electricity or running water, blending perfectly with the wilderness. The truth revealed. The next morning, when Ethan tried to leave, the heavy wooden door was locked from the outside. Elias's demeanor changed. His voice, once gentle, became firm. "You're safe here, boy. The world out there is dangerous. You'll stay with me." This was the moment Ethan realized he was trapped. His forest guide had become his captor. Step 2. The erasing of identity. No contact. Elias removed Ethan's phone and watch, smashing them. No need for those distractions here. No outside world. Ethan was completely cut off, unable to signal for help. The daily monotony. Elias imposed a rigid, monotonous routine. Wake. Chop wood, gather berries, clean the cabin, eat bland food. No books, no toys, no conversations beyond Elias's philosophical ramblings about the corrupt world outside. Days blended into weeks, weeks into months, eroding Ethan's sense of time and purpose. The emotional manipulation. Elias constantly reinforced the idea that Ethan's family had abandoned him, that the world was too dangerous for a boy like him, and only he could protect him. He painted himself as a savior, making Ethan doubt his own memories and the love of his parents. This was a slow, insidious form of emotional torture. Imagine being told repeatedly, by the only voice you hear, that your loved ones don't care, that the world outside is a lie. Ethan, a 13-year-old, was not just physically confined. His captor was meticulously breaking down his perception of reality, eroding his hope with every whispered lie. How does a child's mind resist such constant, loving manipulation when the only connection they have is to their tormentor? The forest, once a place of adventure, had become Ethan's silent, psychological prison. Lesson 2. The Crucible of Isolation. Surviving the Psychological Gauntlet. Years stretched on. Ethan's physical confinement was constant, but the true torture lay in the battle for his mind and the desperate struggle to preserve his spirit against overwhelming isolation and manipulation. Step 1. The battle against despair. Maintaining a routine despite Elias's monotonous schedule. Ethan secretly created his own. He would mentally divide his days into school lessons, exercise periods, and memory walks. This gave him a sense of purpose and control. Secret sensory stimulation. In the dead of night, when Elias slept, Ethan would sneak small items, a smooth stone, a fallen leaf, and analyze their textures, smells, and shapes. Trying to keep his senses sharp and prevent sensory deprivation from totally unraveling his mind, he'd whisper to himself just to hear his own voice. Resisting the narrative, he fought Elias's constant manipulation. He would mentally counter Elias's lies about his family, holding on to images of their faces, memories of their love. This mental resistance was exhausting but crucial for his identity. Step 2. The art of observation Elias's patterns. Ethan realized that to survive, he needed to understand Elias. He observed his routines when he slept deepest, when he left the cabin for trapping, how he secured the door. He noticed Elias had a bad knee, walked with a slight limp, and occasionally forgot to fully latch the inner wooden bolt. Understanding the environment, he meticulously mapped the cabin's layout in his mind, feeling every plank, every creak. He learned the sounds of the forest outside, specific birds, wind patterns, the distant rumble of a logging truck. The hidden weakness. He noticed Elias had a small, crude map of the forest pinned to a wall behind a hanging blanket. It wasn't detailed, but it showed the general layout of the nearby mountains and a distant, almost forgotten fire trail. This was his first glimmer of an escape route. Years had passed. Ethan, now 16, was no longer a child. He was a survivor, hardened by his invisible prison. He had fought off despair, resisted manipulation, and patiently, meticulously observed his captor. Now he had a map, a hidden key to the vast, unforgiving forest. But how do you escape an expert woodsman who knows every tree, every trap, when you've been confined for years? And what unspeakable dangers lurked in the wilderness, far more terrifying than the man who held him captive? The real test of his survival was about to begin. Lesson 3. The Escape. A race against nature and time. Freedom from the cabin was just the beginning. Ethan's tutorial now became a desperate race against nature. His weakened body and the relentless pursuit of a man who knew the wilderness intimately. Step 1. The opportunity, the distraction. One unusually cold morning, Elias complained of a severe cough and chills. He went out to check a distant trap line, believing he would be back within hours, and forgot to latch the inner wooden bolt of the cabin door, a rare lapse due to his illness. The calculated risk. Ethan knew this was his chance. His body, though leaner, was stronger from years of forced labor. His mind, sharper than ever from constant mental exercise. He waited until Elias was well out of earshot. Then, slowly, silently, pushed the door open. He took a deep, gulping breath of crisp, cold, free air. Step 2. Navigating the wilderness. The map in his mind, using the mentally memorized map and his keen observation of natural signs. Ethan moved silently, swiftly through the dense forest. He avoided obvious trails, sticking to rough terrain, hoping to leave no trace. Survival skills. He used the skills he had learned by forced observation, identifying edible berries, recognizing animal tracks, finding clean water sources. He wrapped his feet in torn cloth to reduce noise and protect them. The hunter and the hunted. Elias, realizing Ethan was gone, would quickly track him. Ethan knew this. He used counter-tracking methods, walking in streams, doubling back, using dense thickets for cover, skills he'd observed Elias using. This was a terrifying game of cat and mouse. Ethan was free of the cabin, but trapped in a vast, indifferent wilderness with an expert tracker on his heels. Every rustle of leaves, every snapped twig sent shivers down his spine. He was physically weak, disoriented by the sheer expanse of the outside world after years of confinement. How does a 13-year-old, now 18, survive such an unforgiving landscape, outwit a predator who knows every secret of the forest, and find his way back to a world that believes him dead? His escape was far from over. It was just beginning. Lesson 4. The reintegration. The unseen scars of freedom. Emerging from his forest prison was a miracle, but reclaiming his life and coping with the unimaginable trauma proved to be Ethan's final, agonizing tutorial. Step 1. The discovery, the logging road. After days of desperate travel, dehydrated and exhausted, Ethan stumbled upon a remote logging road. He managed to flag down a startled logging truck driver who initially thought he was a feral child. The unbelievable story: Ethan, gaunt, dressed in homemade clothes, and, with eyes too old for his age, could barely speak coherent sentences. His story of abduction, isolation, and a hidden cabin sounded like a child's fantasy or the ravings of a traumatized individual. Police skepticism. Local police in Oregon were highly skeptical. They'd closed his missing person case years ago. It took extensive DNA testing and old family photos to confirm his identity. When confronted, Elias Thorne was found at his cabin denying everything, claiming Ethan was a runaway he cared for. Step 2. The battle for normalcy family reunion. Emotional turmoil. The reunion with his family was a mix of overwhelming joy and profound trauma. They barely recognized the hardened, silent young man their adventurous boy had become. The unspoken questions, the years of pain, hung heavy in the air. Psychological recovery. Ethan suffered from severe PTSD, agoraphobia, and extreme distrust. He struggled with social interactions, loud noises, and even simple choices. Therapy became his new battleground, a long, arduous process to unpack 5 years of unthinkable torture. The limelight and the burden. His story became a national sensation. Media attention was overwhelming. While it brought awareness, it also meant he could never fully escape his past. He was the survivor boy, forever defined by his trauma. Ethan survived the impossible. He endured unthinkable torture, both physical and psychological, emerging from a nightmare that lasted 5 years. He gained his freedom, his family back, and a chance at a new life. But what is the true cost of such survival? Could he ever truly be free from the shadow of that forest prison? Or would the horrors he faced forever define the boy who once chased butterflies? His story isn't just a triumph. It's a chilling reminder that some scars are invisible, yet they cut the deepest. Conclusion: the echo of the forest prison. A call for vigilance. Ethan Miller's story. This 13-year-old survived unthinkable torture. It's a haunting testament to the fragility of childhood and the astonishing resilience of the human spirit. It serves as a stark warning to lessons from Ethan's ordeal, the insidiousness of emotional abuse, how psychological manipulation and isolation can be as devastating as physical torture. The power of resilience, the mind's incredible ability to create an inner world and fight for sanity even in the most extreme conditions. The overlooked dangers that monsters don't always look like traditional villains. Sometimes they are hidden in plain sight or in the guise of a helper. the long road to healing, that survival is only the beginning. The journey to reclaim a life after trauma is a lifelong battle. Ethan's story is a chilling reminder that vigilance is crucial and that the darkest prisons can sometimes exist unseen, deep within the wilderness or within the confines of a manipulated mind. Ethan Miller survived unthinkable torture, emerging from a 5-year nightmare that stole his childhood. His story is a testament to the strength of the human will. But it also forces us to ask, how many other children endure silent battles, hidden from plain sight? And what does it take for society to truly protect its most vulnerable, to listen to the whispers of those trapped in their own unseen prisons? His survival is a miracle, but his scars are a permanent testament to the horrors he faced and the unthinkable cost of his freedom. For more chilling insights into true stories of survival, psychological horrors, and the dark truths hidden in plain sight, make sure to subscribe to Dark Truth Files.